What's going on, everybody? I thought I'd talk about something that I think is a huge issue facing the church that I came to my attention the other day as I was sitting amongst other fellow Catholics and was hearing all sorts of kind of wacky different things. And this is really turning into a normal occurrence. It made me think of there's a popular video game out there called Among Us, where the point of the game is you're these kind of little guys on this spaceship, and one person in the game is an imposter trying to sneak around and sabotage in the spaceship and trying to kill the other passengers. The other people are just trying to get around the tasks, trying to do their job. And then at the end, they realize something's going on. They got to figure out who the imposter on the ship is. They get together, they all kind of talk about it, and they try and kind of root out the evil. And that's essentially what I think we have to do in our own local diocese from people that are really Catholic imposters. These are people that call themselves Catholics by name. Either they don't really mean it or they're just kind of holding on to it because of their inherited it, but they want to change the church for one reason or another. And they are the imposters in the church. Like I said, they either do this intentionally, they know they're the imposter, quote unquote, or they don't, and they're just kind of ignorant. And I'm seeing this all the time. And what made me think about this just recently, I actually have many recent stories, actually, from the past 5 days. But one was I was sitting at a table with a theologian at a local Catholic university, and I'm just kind of reading some of the stuff he wrote. I was going to start up a conversation, and I see this stuff kind of published on this liberal website, and I wasn't sure, I wasn't surprised. But I also was shocked, kind of sad at the same time that this person wrote a whole article or series of articles against a number of different issues, basically saying that the Catholic Church, if you're Catholic, you don't have to believe, church doctrine, church dogma if the majority doesn't believe it anyways. And that was his idea of thinking this, which doesn't make any sense at all. That's like saying we're not going to follow any laws. You don't have to follow a law. It's not really a law if everyone else doesn't think it is, doesn't follow it. So that's obviously doesn't make any sense. And certainly doesn't make any sense in a religion. And there's tons of groups out there that are doing this. There's one particular one called Catholics for Choice, where if you go on this website, it's almost like, is this an oxymoron? Does this make any sense? You have stuff on there saying, like you can see right in the front page, we are the 99% of Catholic women who use birth control. And sadly, I'm sure there are a high percentage of that. But the point is that this is just blatantly going into what the church does not teach. And they make all these issues that if you go on like their issues page, you're going to see all sorts of wacky stuff that, you can get right to the root of. Like these are just really left-wing liberal website disguising itself, being an imposter as a Catholic website, saying they are pro-choice, saying that they're your stuff like gender equity and like reproductive equity, Catholic healthcare, all sorts of stuff that really is just kind of under the guise of just basing liberal propaganda, basically saying the same old talking points that the Catholic Church is patriarchal, the Catholic Church doesn't care about women, the Catholic Church is bigoted against LGBTQ groups. And they have this whole thing in here. Catholics are called to follow their individual consciences, all matters of moral decision making, including those involving reproductive health care. Yes, you're called to use your conscience, but in light of traditional church teaching. So the point is, if you read this, if anyone's a serious Catholic, educated Catholics, you would have to roll your eyes at this. And as I look at this website more, I really wonder if this is legitimate or someone just trying to take down the church. Which brings me up to recent. I told you guys a couple of videos ago some really good books to wake your fellow Catholics up. Two in particular, talk about the issues of blatant, intentional. The accusation of these books was intentional infiltrators or imposters among us. In the books, The Murder in the 33rd, which is an awesome book. Gotta recommend you guys read that. It reads like a movie. Should be a movie. That's a pretty convincing book. And then even St. Gallen Mafia as well. Both of these are, really open and shut cases of at least pointing at, you could say it's intentional to take down the Catholic Church, or there's some sort of conspiracy inside of that, which I always say, when people say, well, it sounds like a conspiracy, really everything can be an conspiracy. I mean, really, if you take a group of people in a room and they don't like something, they're going to conspire to take down that particular thing in some way or not, one way or another. And so what I find is often happening, like I said, is that these people are really sitting among you in your local diocese. Either your teacher, they could be your religious education teacher, you're someone in the hierarchy, your priest, someone in your local parish, like I said, council, school board, small group, or whatever. I saw this too in my local school board, where I had somebody sitting next to me who was really kind of fighting against some traditional church teachings. And that was clear in that particular person, which I'm not judging them. We all have a certain level of ignorance. We're learning and continue to learn. This person really was clearly didn't know basic church teaching, which is fine. But then it's our place to kind of educate them. But the problem is, if you get the majority of your parish, which is starting to be the reality, who are really ignorantly imposters in the Catholic faith. They call themselves Catholics, but they don't follow, they don't believe, they don't want to promote anything the Catholic Church teaches. That's going to be a problem. I think that is the problem. And I think this is cleverly, in my opinion, been done so that we are kind of like a frog in the water, where the average Catholic is not being properly catechized. And it gets to the point where the water is getting slowly dialed up, and now we're just boiling in it, where people are just confused on some basic core teachings. They think the church has changed its stance on certain things. And so what you start doing, I think they've cleverly done, these imposters in the church. And for one, they start converting other people because they're thinking, well, these other people are doing it, so this must be the right thing to do. We're seeing a less call to holiness. We're seeing a less of a call to battle sin, less devotions, less emphasis on, you can say, quote unquote, rules or just structure in the church. And we're seeing more of the Catholic Church being, well, it's more about social action. It's more about feel good homilies, more about contemporary worldly talk. We'll talk about climate, and we'll do some coat drives and some stuff like that, but we're not going to get any of the hard issues. We're not going to talk about, I shouldn't say hard issues, we're not talking about any of the basic issues. Maybe we'll raise some money for Catholic charities, some of which are, there's been some reports of those Catholic charities not being as quote unquote Catholic as they should be. I digress. The point is, this is the slow way that this kind of among us mentality starts to kind of weed its ugly head. And I think our job, just like in this game I referenced, is to kind of root these people out. So like anything evil, these individuals cannot stand when, good really comes to the surface. You start talking about devotions, start talking about pro-life causes, start bringing the rosary back in. Like I said in the previous video, and like everyone else on the internet started talking about that article that was just posted. Start bringing the rosary back in. They just can't stand that type of good. So they're going to rear their ugly heads, and they're going to try and say something which will then at least identify who these people are. And then it's our job to charitably kind of correct them and then ask them about their faith. So some people legit are on a mission just to destroy the faith. They want to think that it's their mission to kind of change the rules to see what they say fit. They think they're doing a good for society. But a lot of times I ask people just honestly about their faith. I'll say, why do you believe what you believe? Why are you Catholic in the first place? Is there something you don't like about the Catholic Church? And you'll kind of I hear this a lot, that this is where some of these typical talking points come up, that people just say things like, well, the church doesn't, again, it's bigoted, it's hypocritical. I don't believe all these things the church teaches. And again, they eventually ask, why are you Catholic in the first place? And if you don't believe half these things, and that's when you start getting into more of a charitable kind of discussion and dialogue and some education as well. But the point I'm trying to make is, this can all be very disheartening as I'm sitting in a group of people that, especially theologians or priests, that really seem like they're trying to take the church down with them. Don't let that challenge your faith, because some people hear this stuff and like, well, I'm just getting out of here. I'm amongst a bunch of people that don't believe the faith and aren't fighting for it. I'll go somewhere else. Again, orthodoxy is the jump people are doing now. And again, I would encourage you guys that you'll see it's not the same on that side of the fence either. But my point is, don't let them challenge your faith. You have to challenge them. It should be the other way around. We're just getting too passive in fighting against this and rearing our, basically being proud to stand on a pedestal. And the beauty that we have, the strength that we have, is that we have the catechism. If they don't like something, if they call you bigoted about something that's Catholic, especially in a Catholic sphere, whether that's a Catholic school, Catholic university, your local church, obviously, then it's really easy just to say, hey, I got my catechism here. Show me where it doesn't say what I'm supposed to be saying here. And then they can take it up with them. But at very least, you have to kind of push them to the point where they feel like, if this isn't for them, they got to get out. And that's what I think we need to do. We need to infiltrate the infiltrators, find out who these imposters are basically, and fight against it as hard as we can. So that's the video, guys. That was the topic. Curious to see if you guys are seeing this. I think this is a huge thing. At the very least, what I think people can do is start small groups that aren't, antagonistic, but don't start a small group that is something that could be pro-life or something that's, has nice catechesis. So that's something to do. And again, get yourself out there in the bulletin. local newspaper, whatever, give like a brief talk. These are all kind of great things. So that's it. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you.